Brother and sister watching online, good morning to you. Good morning to you. Today we want to read from Isaiah chapter 47. Chapter 46 and 47 talk about judgment on Babylon. The kingdom of Babylon, as predicted, as prophesied by Isaiah, perished. The last chapter talk about how idols were judged, and this chapter talk about how the whole nations of Babylon was judged. The concept is very clear in this chapter. In order to help you to understand more clearly, let us ask a question. How is it related to us, a destroyed, fallen nation? As an observer, and then we just say, oh yeah, Babylon is really bad nation, so bad. He deserved this judgment. Then that relationship, since we don't see or can't relate to it. But before going into this chapter, I want to mention two things. The first thing, at the end of the book of Revelations, God called that people will come out of the city of Babylon. But the city of Babylon already destroyed, so come out of city of Babylon. So basically, we need to come out of the value system of Babylon. It actually means God is judging Babylon as a nation in chapter 7. In 539 BC, God was judging Babylon. But now, 2,500 years later, today, God still says those who believe in the value system of Babylon will be judged too. Chapter 45 talks about there is no other God apart from me, besides me. Two verses in this chapter are similar. Verse 8b, I am, and there is no one else besides me. Verse 8, right in the middle. And verse 10b, I am, and there is no one else besides me. And you have said in your heart, I am, and there is no one else besides me. You say in your heart. You said in your heart, not with your mouth. You have said in your heart. The pride is hidden in the heart. Yes, the outward conduct has been judged. But what is being judged is what is in the heart without speaking out. The unspoken words. Yes, you have not said it out loud, but you said it in heart, and God will judge that. The title for today is God deals with the idea in our hearts. God will deal with the idea in our heart. Verse 1 to 7, the first paragraph. The Redeemer takes revenge for Israel. Here it say, come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon. Sit on the ground without a throne. Sit on the ground. For you shall not be called tender and delicate. You need to do hard work. You will be disgraced. The whole nation is being judged. Why is it being judged? The first reason is verse 4. As for our Redeemer, the Lord of hosts is his name, the Holy One of Israel. God has a lot of names. He is the Lord of hosts. His might is the greatest, the greatest, the greatest. And he is also the Redeemer. He is powerful and he also saves. And he's also the Holy One of Israel. He redeems Israel. That's the name of God. But what Babylon did was opposite and opposing what God wants to do. God wants to take revenge for Israel because one thing happened here. Verse 6 here. I was angry with my people. I have profaned my inheritance and given them into your hand. You showed them no mercy. On the elderly you laid your yoke very heavily. Verse 6. God is the God of Israel. God disciplined Israel. But God did not stretch his hand from heaven and then just, slap Israel on his hand or on his back. So it should be a spiritual target, a physical target. So when he disciplined Israel, he let Babylon discipline Israel. What Babylon did was over the line, was too much. And he was totally unable to demonstrate the image of God. Verse 6 is here. You show them no mercy. Mercy is the first and utmost attribute of God. God is merciful. He is gracious and compassionate. But Babylon showed them no mercy, totally unlike God. On the elderly, you laid your yoke very heavily. So, in the New Testament, we say that if we want to talk to our elder, it's like talking to our father. But here, they mistreat the elderly, oppress them. So that's rebellion. No mercy and disobedient. Rebellious. God cannot accept this. If we do not show people mercy, God cannot accept that. If we do not respect our elders, people at the elderly, then God cannot accept that. Even though you are the strongest emperor of the time, God still destroy you. That's the reason why God judged Babylon. His attitude towards Israel was so bad. So right now, 3 points here. Our attitude towards Israel. If God handed over to us to discipline, of course we will discipline Israel, but you need to make sure that God has handed it over to you. And when you try to deal with it, you must be like God. You must show mercy. You must show mercy. We must ask God to help us. Babylon was showing bad attitude towards Israel. He was bad in showing the image of God. He didn't, basically. So in the past, God dealt with that. Right now, God still deals with it. Whether you are as a nation, or as an individual. Maybe it's Israel in the physical realm, or to Israel, the spiritual realm, that is the church. The Redeemer took revenge for Israel. God will take revenge. And then verse 9, 8 to 9. I am, and there is no one else besides me. I am, and there is no one else besides me. Verse 8. Therefore, hear this now, you who are given to pleasures, who dwell securely, who say in your heart, I am, and there is no one else besides me. I shall not sit as widow, nor shall I know the loss of children. When I read the judgment of God and the work of the enemy, I will wonder. So, there are many kinds to kill people, to judge people. Why do you choose this particular way? Daniel, why did the king throw him into the lion's den? There are many ways to kill him or deal with him. Why lion's den? Why? Maybe because he is of the tribe of Judah. The Lion of Judah shall triumph. That's just my thought. So it's the same here. Widow and loss of children. God wants to respond to Babylon this way. He has his good reason, because in verse 7, you said, I shall be a lady forever. A lady, what does that mean? You have like a husband, you have your children. I am a mother of the nation. I'm the strongest. I am the best. I am a lady. You said you are a lady, then you will be as a widow. Then your children also die. You lost your children. That's it. God didn't just do a thing casually. How we think in our hearts, that's how God will respond to us. So widow and loss of children, that's what the Babylon, brought it on themselves. They take pride in being a lady forever. And God will judge the pride in our hearts. Verse 10, for you have trusted in your wickedness. You have said, no one sees me. Your wisdom and your knowledge have wrapped you. And you have said in your hearts, I am, and there is no one else besides me. No one sees me. You have said, no one sees me. People who do wicked things are interesting. When people don't see it, they will do wicked things, right? Bad things. They do it at night. People can't see it clearly. What do you want to do when you want to do wicked things in broad daylight? You want to rob people of their stuff? You put a stocking over my face. You cannot see me. You cannot see me. When you do bad things, you think, no one sees me. No one sees me. Or say, I don't care if you see me. You see me, so what? No one sees me. I will not be judged. They take God as nothing, basically. They take God as nothing. So they do whatever they like. It says that no one sees me. You are unaware of me doing this. But there is nothing hidden that will not be disclosed. People will know, will find out. Basically, you do all this because you take God as nothing. God can't see me. People can't do nothing about me. That's wrong. There's something wrong here. So God needs to deal with it. The second paragraph, verse 8 to 11, God judges the pride in people's hearts. That's what in our hearts. The thought in our hearts. Because you said it in your heart, you said so God judged our attitude towards Israel. God judged us if we display the image of God. And God judged the thoughts in our hearts. What you think in your heart will be judged. Verse 12 to 15, the third paragraph. God judged what we rely on. I take God as nothing. I rely on myself. To be honest, it doesn't really exist that we rely on ourselves. Maybe you rely on yourself because you rely on money, on wealth. You rely on your own wisdom. Rely on your knowledge. Rely on your network, your relationship. If we live without God, we rely on something else. The very thing that we rely on, God will judge. So to Babylon, verse 9, because of the multitudes of your sorceries, for the great abundance of your enchantment. Sorceries and enchantment start with Babylon. When Nebuchadnezzar had a dream, he didn't know what to do, so he find all the astrologers or enchanter from Chaldean. He let the astrologers and enchanter deal with the most important thing for him. That's what he relied on. He relied on sorceries, enchantments. He relied on the power outside God. He connected with the evil spirit to do what he wanted to do. That's what Babylon relied on. And this group of people will be judged too. Verse 12 is a sarcastic comment here. Stand now with your enchantments. In which you have labored from your youth, sorcery and your enchantment, perhaps you will be able to profit. Perhaps you will prevail. You are wearied in the multitude of your counsels. Let now the astrologers, the stargazers, and the monthly prognosticator stand up and save you. You want them to help you. You want them to save you. But verse 14, behold, they shall be as stubble. The fire shall burn them. They shall not deliver themselves from the power of the flame. So they are the astrologers, the stargazers. The conclusion is verse 15. Thus shall they be to you with whom you have labored, your merchants from your youth. They shall wander each other to his quarter. No one shall save you. You rely on the astrologers, the stargazers, they all will be judged. You expect them to save you, but they will be judged too. None of them can save you. Over 100 years later, after Isaiah prophecy, these things come to pass. So when I read the book of Isaiah, this time I found Isaiah absolutely amazing. He really received a lot of revelation from God. He knew what would happen in the future. And he knew what the people of the time thought in their heart. And it's the same even when in the end times, it repeatedly happens. Yes, Babylonian Empire was destroyed. But the reason Babylon was judged still exists. When we take God as no one, as nobody, then something will go wrong. You say, no. I do take God as God. I speed read the Bible. I attend services. If you don't read the Bible, you won't be judged. When you do something that you think that you don't need God, that will be judged. Maybe there are 10 areas in your lives. Just take it as an example. You trust God for the work of the study of your children. That's okay. That's no problem. But maybe you do other things by your own. You never thought to go and seek help from God. You say, oh, I can settle everything myself. Oh, God is so busy. Okay, I don't want to trouble him. I will do it myself. That's what we think in our heart. That means I don't need God. I don't want to trouble God. I don't need to pray about it on this area. By myself, I'm able to sort it out. That part there will be trouble. In order to care for these, whatever you trust in will be problem. When a nation has so many problems in like this, then the nation will be destroyed. When many areas of our lives we trust in ourselves, then that will be the end for it. May God help us. In all everything, we learn to align ourselves with God. And we learn to be like God. We need God. All areas of our life, we need God. May God help us. That's the end of the message today.